So my first speaker and my ex-colleague is Andrew Czajkowski. He is a nuclear engineer, very interesting. And after his studies, he joined the European Patent Office, therefore my ex-colleague. There he worked for 20 years, holding various posts, one of them being a search and substantive examiner, and afterwards he was a liaison officer responsible for patent information cooperation activities at the Italian Patent and Trademark Office. And later on, he also managed technical cooperation with Central and Eastern European countries. In 2007, he decided that he needed a new challenge, and he joined the WIPO, and there the global infrastructure sector, where he is currently the head of innovation and technology support section. He is there responsible for promoting and facilitating access to technology databases, in particular patent and scientific and technical journal databases. But I think his main passion at the moment is building capacity in developing countries through the establishment of technology and innovation support centers, which are kind of similar institutions like our PATLIB centers. So Andrew, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Heidrun. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My presentation this afternoon is about technology and innovation support centers, or TISCs for short, and their networks. There you go. And a very brief overview of my presentation. I'd like to start by looking at the context of the establishment of these TISCs in, let's say, the broader context of the World Intellectual Property Organization's development agenda, and then look at the project implementation itself. And then we have two main elements. The first element is the promotion, or promoting, facilitating access to technology databases. And there, the focus, one of the main focuses is, of course, to use free of charge databases, so PatentScope, ESPASnet, but also we've developed programs that allow, this is only for developing countries, access to subscription-based databases at either free of charge or at very low costs. So I'll be talking about those two programs as well. They're called ASPI and ARDI. And then the second element of this project is the capacity building. Very much so the training of the staff of the technology and innovation support centers, and so that they can provide the services and the networks. So the context. The WIPO's development agenda is a political initiative of the member states of the organization to mainstream all of the organization's activities in helping developing countries. And I've taken this excerpt from the introduction of the development agenda, where it says, despite the important scientific and technological advances and promises of the 20th and early 21st centuries, in many areas, a significant knowledge gap, as well as a digital divide, continue to separate the wealthy nations from the poor. The development agenda has 45 specific recommendations, all aiming to help developing countries. And one particular recommendation, number 8, requests WIPO to facilitate that national offices of developing countries, especially least developed countries, as well as their regional and sub-regional intellectual property organizations, to access specialized databases. So let's look at the project. The overall project objectives is clearly to provide the support in addressing this digital divide and reducing the knowledge gap, and to foster the development of appropriate, effective and sustainable technology and I'll go over those words in a second, and innovate the technology and innovation support services for national stakeholders in developing countries. So more specifically, by appropriate, I mean that it's adapted to the local needs and conditions. Here we're talking of developing countries, very often also of least developed countries, and those conditions are very, very different very often. By effective, I mean that it delivers the desired benefits to stakeholders in the country, and that it must be sustainable, that it can ultimately be maintained using locally available resources. So in order to do that, there has to be a very close cooperation between WIPO and its partners. Let me go back to the two fundamental elements of this project. As I mentioned before, the first one is really the promoting and facilitating of access to databases, to patent databases. So I've already mentioned Patent Scope, ESPASnet. We also promote the use of, let's say, the major patent offices databases such as the USPTO, JPO, the PATISnet as well. But we've also, for commercial patent databases, we've come up with a special program, which I'll mention in my next slide. The promotion and facilitating access to scientific and technical journals is through another program, which is called ARDI. And again, I'll look at that in a little bit more detail very soon. The second element, as already mentioned, is the capacity building. So it's through the establishment of these technology innovation support centers, the TISCs, we train the staff so that the staff of these TISCs can help the local users. We carry out on-site training. We have various training levels. We have the first training where we concentrate on free of charge databases. We go through then to second training where we can perhaps concentrate more on practical exercises, perhaps some of the commercial databases that I'll mention in a little while. But we also work very closely with the WIPO's academy. And we also use this, the distance learning courses, as either introductory courses or as reinforcing courses to what we are teaching on site. We'd also like to, in due course, organize regional experience sharing conferences, such as this conference where we are here today. So let me look at the first specialized program. This is for developing countries. It's called ASPI, Access to Specialized Patent Information. It's a partnership, it's a public-private partnership together with 6 patent database service providers, which allow access to commercial patent databases. So together with LexisNexis, Microsoft, ProQuest, Questel, Thomson Reuters, WIPS, these providers offer their flagship services, so Total Patent, PatBase, for example, Thomson Innovation, to the developing countries either for free or at a very, very low cost. As I keep mentioning, these programs are only for developing and least developed countries. If you're a least developed country, you're in the so-called Group 1, and you have access for free. You can use, for example, Thomson Innovation or whatever tools that I mentioned for free. There's a Group 2 where you have middle-income countries as defined by the World Bank, and here we have access at a nominal cost. It's 1,100 Swiss francs a year, but you have initially a 1-year free trial period. We have also a Group 3 for other developing countries where, in fact, these countries are mostly those countries that have eligible for PCT reduced fees. So a total of 122 developing and least developed countries are eligible for this ASPI program.